Maximilian Andreevich Poplavsky, a calculating economic planner from Kiev, arrives in Moscow after receiving a telegram, apparently from his late nephew Berlioz, announcing his own death under a streetcar. Treating the message not as tragedy but as opportunity, Poplavsky sees his nephew's demise as a chance to seize the much-desired Sadovaya street apartment and immediately sets out to claim it through bureaucratic maneuvering. At 302 B Sadovaya, Poplavsky finds the housing committee in chaos. The chairman and secretary have vanished, the remaining staff are incoherent, and fear hangs over the office like contagion. His attempts to register himself in apartment number 50 meet only evasions and terror, deepening his suspicion that some supernatural force now governs the building. Inside apartment number 50, Poplavsky encounters Koroviev, checked suit, cracked nose glasses, and overflowing sentiment, who performs an operatic lament for Berlioz, describing the accident in grotesque, loving detail. Poplavsky, first touched, then alarmed, suspects the stranger has already occupied the flat, until the talking cat Behemoth casually reveals that he sent the telegram. Behemoth, now wearing thick-rimmed glasses, demands Poplavsky's passport and subjects it to absurd bureaucratic scrutiny before declaring it invalid and revoking permission to attend the funeral. The comic interrogation collapses into nightmare as rational procedure becomes demonic ritual and authority itself dissolves into farce. The red-haired demon Azazello appears armed with fang and knife to enforce Wolan's verdict. He hurls Poplavsky's belongings down the stairs, strikes him with a roast chicken, and orders him back to Kiev. The would-be heir flees, bruised, humiliated, and terrified, his greed chastened, his ambition annihilated, his belief in order destroyed. Poplavsky embodies a greedy opportunism in a world where housing has replaced heaven. Bulgakov turns the Soviet housing crisis into a moral test. Scarcity corrupts the soul, and civic duty gives way to selfish ambition. Poplavsky's so-called practicality becomes his downfall, the very sin that summons the devil's judgment. Koroviev's melodramatic mourning transforms grief into performance, echoing the empty rhetoric of public emotion. His grotesque reenactment of Berlioz's death exposes how even sorrow has been collectivized, mechanized, and emptied of meaning, sympathy as spectacle, compassion as parody. The cat's mock interrogation of Poplavsky's passport crystallizes Bulgakov's vision of the state as a system where procedure eclipses purpose. Behemoth's fluency in red-tape absurdity turns bureaucracy into black magic. Documents become talismans, and identity depends not on being, but on paperwork. Azazello's brutal ejection of Poplavsky fuses slapstick and punishment, comedy and damnation. His violence literalizes moral consequence. Greed is rewarded with degradation. Through him, Bulgakov renders divine justice in demonic form, merciless, efficient, and darkly comic. Poplavsky's silent retreat to Kiev marks the final triumph of the irrational. He refuses to report the incident because reason has no language for the absurd. Bulgakov closes the episode with a bitter moral. In a world governed by infernal logic disguised as bureaucracy, the cleverest men are helpless, and the devil needs only to follow procedure.